About 80% of autistic kids actually end up with insomnia or actually night walks, which is crazy to think. Hi, and welcome back to the Other Side of Autism, Life Without Words. I am your host today. I'm Leanne. And today I wanted to bring in a subject about sleep because I know that it's actually pretty common for kiddos to have sleeping disorders. About 80% of autistic kids actually end up with insomnia or actually night walks, which is crazy to think, but it actually can happen and it can develop over time. And so it's interesting because you would never think that that would be something that you'd have to deal with because you're already dealing with a lot of other things. But it is actually a very common thing for autistic kiddos to actually develop sleeping disorders. I totally know because my son actually has a sleeping disorder, and we found out at, what was it? I think he was about 3 or 4 when we found out. I had him, and I also had a brand new baby at the time. And I had put him to bed, and I always used to sit and wait till I didn't hear him anymore. Because we all know kids are going to be kids. And even though you said it's bedtime, that they're going to sit in there and they're going to play and they're going to make noise and they're going to do this and that. And so I'd always wait. And when I didn't hear him anymore, then I would go in and do my nighttime routine, and then I would go to bed. Well, one night I did that, and he was completely out, so I thought, until my boyfriend came home that night. My boyfriend worked the graveyard shift at the mill, and he came home at 2:30 in the morning and found our son playing in our front yard at 2:30 in the morning. And he came in and he woke me up and he told me what was going on. And from then on, we had to figure out a safe way to keep him in until we could figure out what to do. And so over the years, it's actually kind of went through where I've had to do different things and stuff like that. So when he was first little, he actually couldn't take sleeping medication. And so what I found is the reason why he was having sleeping disorders is there was kind of like, I didn't really pinpoint it exactly. I just knew that the melatonin production actually kind of differed in him and autistic kids. So sometimes their melatonin just doesn't kick in at all. And everybody has melatonin. We all have that in our system and stuff like that. So it's our body just kind of releasing it and letting us know that it's time to wind down and stuff like that. Some autistic kids don't have that. However, some autistic kids actually have a melatonin spike, which can cause so many issues in itself as well. And so I just kind of want to have a little conversation about this a little bit more, just because I know there's probably some parents out there that are dealing with this, and I know they're probably frustrated because when they're young, you can't really put them on anything. You can't put them on sleeping medication, things like that. And granted, we need to sleep too. We can't stay up with them 24/7 like they can sometimes, which is kind of crazy. And so, especially when we have other, activities and things like that, or other little kiddos that we have to take care of as well. So I wanted to kind of go over some little fun things to do with your kiddos to kind of just help build that momentum, to kind of just start that expectation of bedtime routines. I know when I started actually doing this with my son, I actually found that it was very helpful. To say the least, we did actually have to put him on medication to actually help him go to sleep. The scary part of it was a blood pressure medication that we had to put him on to help him go to sleep. And so for years and years, he actually had to take a blood pressure medication just to actually go to sleep. And then we were able to kind of move on to moving out of that and kind of moving into more of an actual melatonin gummy or things like that actually help him now that he's even older. And so because even though he's 24, we still have the problem with sleeping. He still can stay up for 24 hours, which is crazy. And so back in the day, I started when we found out we had the sleeping routine or sleeping problems, we kind of basically started a routine. So as it was time to start winding down for bed, even though I don't think Brennan kind of understood a lot of the times what I was telling him, I would just start giving him cues. So as it was time, I would start going around and I would dim the lights in our house and kind of set that mood for it to start winding down. So he kind of got used to the fact of like, when I hit the lights, he knew it was time to start winding down. Their mind is so amazing. So that was one of the ways we were able to do that as well. And then the other thing we were able to do is we got different pajamas. So sometimes kids have sensitivities to, it could be their pajamas that even causes them to sleep restlessly or not want to sleep at all as well. And so we actually changed his pajamas. And so he'd have these really soft pajamas that he would climb into. And then afterwards, we went from that to it's time to brush your teeth. So as we kind of started going through these motions of brushing the teeth, you could even do a story time or things like that as well. It just kind of really helped set that expectation of it's time to start winding down to go to bed. The other thing a lot of people can actually do as well is, a lot of kids love music, and you could actually put on something like a really soft melody or something that kind of makes you start feeling a little sleepy and things like that. That's also another great way to actually get them to calm down as well, is by doing that. Some other things that you can also do as well is you can have a timer. You can get a timer and say, okay, in 10 minutes, we're going to go brush our teeth, and start doing the process and winding down that way as well. I know a lot of kids can be a visual learner. And with that being said, a timer could actually work perfect for that. And so doing that, setting that, also again sets that expectation of, hey, it is time to start winding down for bed. Another great thing that I would highly recommend if you haven't tried it already is if you have a kiddo who really loves to feel like compacted and snuggled and just feel pressure on them, I would highly recommend getting a weighted blanket. Now, there is some rules to having a weighted blanket though. The rule of thumb is it's 10% of the body weight of the child. So for instance, if you have a 9-pound blanket for an 80-pound child, like that's the best ratio right there kind of thing. So you don't want it to be overly heavy, but you want it to have enough weight that it gives them that sense of security that they're looking for to like really nestle down and really just kind of sink into wanting to go to bed. Just really like maybe tuck them in. Like if you have a kid that just really likes to be snuggled, like tuck them in like a little burrito. That's a great way to do it as well. But another thing you can kind of do is put lavender, and maybe I didn't go over this actually, now that I think about it. Lavender, essential oil lavender. A lot of the times if you put that on the bottom of your kiddo's foot, they will actually just be out like a light. It's kind of pretty fun. I've used that on Brennan as well. I still have to use kind of a mixture here and there of being able to, give or take depending on how his day was. I can kind of, decipher what bedtime routine, what he's going to need. Is he going to need that lavender scent going on? Is he going to need his weighted blanket as well? 9 times out of 10, he always goes for the weighted blanket as well. The other thing too is lights, getting different lights. So they say if you actually dim the lights and put like a warm lamp on, it also creates that sense of we're getting ready to wind down and go to bed as well. So I really hope that a lot of those can really actually help you if you find yourself struggling. I also recommend too, if you do find yourself struggling, I know as a parent, like you don't want to have your kiddo on medication, but also remember you kind of got to sleep yourself. That way you can be your best self to help take care of them and be the best version of a mom you need to be for them. So don't sleep deprive yourself either. Definitely seek some professional help if you do find that your kiddo is having some sleeping disorders happening, or if you're finding they're not resting well, because they could be having some kind of other issues going on. It could be a GI tract problem. It could be, acid reflux they could be dealing with. So you definitely want to make sure that they're getting enough sleep. That way it doesn't lead to behaviors, and then they can also function just fine as they are going throughout their day. So I really hope that this actually helps you, and I really hope that you'll find these enlightening. And I would really love it if you would comment. If you try any of these, comment down below and let me know your thoughts on it. I know it's not every autistic child is different, and I just want to be able to help and give any resources I can for that. So if you like today's episode, please subscribe to our podcast, and we'll see you next time.